Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Valvoline and Sparesbox. Don't forget Benny5 on checkout. This week, we are just going to change wheels and tyres on the Crown. No, we're not. We are actually going to do wheels and tyres on it, but this is the start officially of the Crown build. We are going to be changing wheels and tyres primarily because these ones are so old that they're nearly as old as Gian.
87.
And we're actually going to take this thing to Sydney Dragway tonight because I want a baseline purely for my own interest. So we're going to basically just go over the thing, give it a quick check over, make sure it's not leaking any fluids, make sure the fluid levels are right. As I said, change the wheels and tyres because these tyres are dry cracked and they won't even pass the roadworthy anyway. So we're probably going to get this thing roadworthied just so that it's registered. Then we'll start the build process. We've obviously got the engineer waiting in the wings to start the discussion process as well. So yeah, we're still kind of trying to iron that out and work out when they're available, when we're available, to kind of get the plan of the build together. But yeah, we're going to start by changing wheels and tyres. Then we're going to lug the thing to Sydney Dragway, and it's probably going to be the world record slowest BCW pass on a Wednesday. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to the drag racing side of it because it is going to be so slow. But I do want to do it purely for our own knowledge and to see just how much faster we can make this Crown. So let's go along for a magical journey of wheel changing and then a road trip and then some drag racing. This is literally someone's done this because they didn't like the chrome on a Crown of all things. Oh, my Crown has too much chrome. The one sad thing is they've rattle canned some of the badges. So if I care about it enough, I'll buy badges, which I probably won't. So much effort to put it on and then for me to pull it back off. Vinyl rage. And then they've removed like the guard markers and just put black vinyl over them. And then they've removed the corner aerial, like the parking stick, and just put black vinyl over it. And then that's been painted, I think. Oh no, that's wrapped too. Why? What's wrong? Let's just make a whole episode of peeling vinyl and changing wheels. Hashtag wheels is not a build. Geez, that'll offend some people. They're not much better than what came off it. Now, anyone who's a regular viewer of the channel is already going to know exactly what I'm about to say because we only talked about it a couple of weeks ago with the Pajero. But anyone who's new to the channel or maybe missed the Pajero episode, there are different types of wheel nuts. This particular style of nut, which is OEM to a lot of styles of cars in the 90s, especially from Japan, is a shank nut with a captive washer. The washer won't come off. These also do have a taper on the front. They're basically a combination nut. However, that taper is purely for an emergency situation if you need to use your steel spare. These are not for use with tapered style seated wheel nuts like the wheels that we put on the car today. So yeah, definitely don't mix and match your nuts because you're going to be in for a bad time. We've talked about it before, but we'll still, this is kind of like the steering wheel and the face thing. We're going to talk about this a lot every time it pops up on the channel because it is a safety issue. We've now got the wheels and tyres on. We're going to put it on the ground. We're going to check the nuts for tension. I know they're tight, but I'm going to do it for you guys just so you know how to do it. Oh, they're flat. I need some pumping up of the jam. Click. Click. I am just using a breaker bar to just check the feel of these nuts. If you're not particularly familiar with this sort of setup, check either your owner's manual or online. It will give you a pretty rough guide for the tension or the torque spec of each wheel nut. Yeah, if you're not confident, just definitely use a torque wrench each time. I have been doing this for quite a while, so I've got a pretty good feel on what's tight and what's loose. So yeah, it's a bit of a nit with the bar, and for me it works pretty well. Never had a wheel come off, touch wood, so yeah, I'll continue to do it this way, but if you feel the need to use a torque wrench, go for gold. Yeah, I've never had McDonald's or KFC in the US. Subway in the US is better than here. The bread is way better.
Ah, yes, that's right.
The bread at Subway in the US is like real bread, whereas here it's like basically yoga mats. It's crazy that even though this is plastic, it actually still screws on. They're definitely not the ugliest wheels that have been on this car today. It's like it needs higher offset wheels in the front and lower offset wheels in the back. Now I thought I'd just quickly cover off a couple of things for first timers that want to go out to the drags, any track including Sydney Dragway. The biggest things to look for are fluid leaks and fluid levels. Now, even on this particular Crown, typically, obviously, you guys are pretty well aware of what we do when all the new cars come in. Give them a good full service and a check over. And you do want to do that, especially if you're going to go to the track, whether it be circuit or drags or drifting, because you are going to put your car under a lot more aggressive G-forces or loads typically than you would on the street. So if the oil's low in an engine, you probably get away with it on the street. However, high acceleration and braking, as well as cornering, obviously no cornering today, but all of those forces can come into effect on the sump. This particular engine is a mid sump from memory, so you may actually get oil surge to the rear of the pan and run the engine dry. So yeah, that is definitely something to keep in mind. Also, the other thing is make sure there's nothing leaking, because any leaks that end up on the track, they shut the track and actually clean it all up. So A, you don't want to be the person responsible for the leak, and B, you don't want to be the person sitting in the lane because someone else had a leak. So try and be responsible, do the right thing by yourself and fellow racers, and make sure that all your fluids are within check and they're safely contained in the engine. Also, just run your eyes over everything, check for hose clamps. Every now and then you find a loose hose clamp. The cap on your radiator could be loose, the cap on your power steering could be loose, same with the brake fluid. So give all of your fluids a full check over, because that typically for a first timer at the track is where you're going to start to have issues. So yeah, be super mindful of that for both yourself and other people's enjoyment at the track. Whenever you're razor blading a window, it's really important to make sure that it is lubricated and not dry. I've just used the Rain-X window cleaner that we use all the time. It works really well. And once you're done, especially with this kind of pen they use to write on the windows with a lot of the cars that get shipped in, you really need to wash it after you've bladed it off, because it just gets everywhere. The stuff's really hard to clean off. So yeah, giving it a razor blade knocks it off physically off the glass, but then it sort of sits around all the channels and stuff. So easier to give it a quick wash and then just get rid of it for good, and then it's all gone, because it's horrible stuff. Like that. This is some super special like sealed battery deal with a monitor circuit. The battery I'm going to put in doesn't have any of that, so we'll see what happens. It's only for today anyway. Like I said, this hybrid system's getting completely removed, and Matt actually has a brand new one of these Panasonic Chaos batteries for the white car, so this will probably just become scrap because it's dead and gone. It won't take a charge from anything, so no good. In the bin, well, off to the recycler. Moist. You're supposed to wash your shoe when you wash your car, right? This throttle response is non-existent. We've got the Crown loaded up. Now it's time to hit the track. We've just made it here to Sydney Dragway. The car's unloaded. I've already gone through the tech shed. It's pretty straightforward with the basic cars, without a cage and all that sort of deal. They basically just give a quick check over. Much on what I've already touched on. They check basically all your fluid reservoirs, make sure the caps are on properly. They check to make sure your battery is secure and the terminals are tight. They also check your helmet is in date. There's different standards on the side of helmets, so they do check that. For first timers, if you come to the track, it's worth noting too that you do need long pants and long sleeves like a jumper or whatnot. They're not too fussed on what the material is until the car's certified. So if you're obviously going quick like I do in the Cresta, you need pants and suit that are all fire rated, so a full fire suit. You need fire retardant underwear, socks, all sorts of deals. So I'm sure I've forgotten something. Gloves. So you need all of those things when you start to go fast and your car's teched. But for these street meets, if you just want to come and have a go, which I highly recommend, get a couple of mates, bring a couple of cars out. It's a really good way to sort out some of the egos and see what the cars and the drivers can do. So yeah, highly recommend if you want to come out to the track, get to it. But we're going to jump in the lanes now. There's not many cars here at all, so I'm hoping that we can kind of get 3 or 4 passes done in an hour. Might mean that we get a lot of data and all the information we need, and we can get home and I can have dinner at a reasonable hour and Gianna can go and edit more videos. Well, going around for a second lap, seeing if I can better my 20.331 at 67.99 mile an hour. Nearly got 68. Don't want to rip myself off there. 60 foot, you can be timed. I reckon I actually could run faster than that 60 foot time. No, I couldn't. Someone could though. 2.97 60 foot. That is bad. Like proper bad. The guy with the Commodore that bushfired it went 2.55. So yeah, a little bit of work to do there. Oh no, I'm robbing myself of air cons. Oh, I don't have a pling plong. I'm still accelerating. These brakes are suboptimal. It's like the front discs are melted. Oh, look at that. There's a camera. I've never noticed that before. And a weather station. The things you notice when you're not doing 170 mile an hour at the track. Well, that was another disappointing run because the car is slow as, and nothing's going to be exciting today. So I hope you enjoyed our TED Talks and our public displays of slow motor vehicles. Today's a perfect day to come down and race your car. Not that you're going to be able to do that because this video is not live, but prime example of being able to come down and run your car back to back for hours on end because there's literally about 8 cars in the pits. But it is a hot day though, so yeah, street car territory, not really race car territory. Oh, good. We've got to change the route here again. 120 meters. Exit stage left, hoot. Got ya. Thank you. 20.33. Let's see how close it was. Got ourselves a bracket racer car here. Dial your own. Here we go. Whoa, that data though, 20.33 to a 20.33. I feel like maybe I should be a bracket racer at this point. One person will get that joke, and that person is Pete Nichols. So shout out to Pete for his continued support. This is it. Will I run 20.33 again? 3 times in a row? Surely it couldn't be. World record of Japanese taxi racing on a Wednesday. I got him on the reaction time. We're flat stick. Woo, chippy. No. Bit of Powerade there. That'll do it. I don't know, I reckon that might have been a tad slower if I had to take a punt. In all honesty, I probably forgot to actually accelerate the whole time, then I was too busy actually having a snack. What'd I run?
Yes, 20.6.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I actually forgot to accelerate while I was eating. I fully got to the end and I'm like, I think I actually forgot to race.
Well, at least you enjoyed your meal.
Nice. Well, the outcome was extremely disappointing in the fact that it's slow as. However, it seems to be fairly consistent because it's literally just point and shoot. So 20.33, 20.33, 20.68. The reason I did 20.68 is because I actually forgot to accelerate. I'm not even kidding. It was so slow I forgot what I was doing. Interestingly also, the car weighs 1,607.5 kilos, including myself. So hopefully when we finish that car and bring it back here, we'll reweigh it and see if we gained any weight, if we lost any weight, and what it sort of ends up being. So it'll be cool to see now that we do have that starting weight and the starting mile an hour and the starting ET. Actually, mile an hour I didn't talk about. It was 67.99, 67.68, and 63.56 because I wasn't actually accelerating. I kind of forgot. That being said, still a fun episode. Got to muck around with the car. It's always a good time coming down to the track. Very quiet tonight actually, and talking to the track staff, it's been very quiet a lot lately. So if you're in the Sydney area and you're keen to come and run your car, bring some mates down, have a good time, support the track. This is literally a world-class facility. I can confidently say that, having raced around the world. this is probably one of the better tracks you'll race at. And it's also quite cheap. It's 60 bucks to come and run your car, and I believe it's 20 bucks to spectate. So if you're in the area within a couple of hours of Sydney, highly recommend coming down on a Wednesday night, running your car. The track would love your support, and you have a great time with your mates. So can't recommend it enough. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. I'm leaving it there.
Oh God.
What are you looking at?